So let me ask you something right off the bat. What is it that makes a workplace truly, genuinely safe? Is it that giant binder of rules and regulations sitting on a shelf? Or is it something more human? This really gets to the core of what we're going to unpack today.
So, to make sure we're all on the same page, we've got to define what we're talking about. What in the world is a process safety culture anyway?
Well, the textbook definition says it's this combination of group values, norms, and behaviors. Basically, it's the shared mindset that decides how safety is handled day in and day out, and it involves every single person, from the CEO right down to the person on the front line.
But I think this quote just nails it. It cuts through all the jargon. Culture is what people do when they think no one is watching. It's not about the talk, it's about the walk. That is the real acid test of a company's commitment.
Now that we have a feel for what it is, let's get into why it's so incredibly important. This isn't just some corporate buzzword. It is the bedrock of any safety system that actually works.
Okay, let's build this idea from the ground up, like a pyramid. At the very bottom, the base of everything, is a simple fact. Industrial operations have hazards. There's always a potential for things to go wrong. That's just reality.
So what do we do about those hazards? We build barriers. This is our next layer. These are our defenses. Things like machine guards, safety procedures, warning alarms, you name it.
But those barriers don't check on themselves. They need to be maintained, inspected, and improved. That's where the management system comes in. Think of it as the playbook, the audits, the training, the schedules that keeps all those barriers working. And here's the kicker. All of that, the barriers, the management system, it all rests on one thing: culture. Culture is that invisible foundation holding the entire structure up. If that foundation is weak, the whole thing comes crashing down. The system fails, the barriers don't work, and those hazards are suddenly uncontrolled.
So what does a strong, healthy safety culture actually look and feel like when you're in it? Well, it's not some vague feeling. It comes down to some very specific, observable traits.
The difference in attitude is just night and day. In a weak culture, you hear things like, "That's not my job," or you see people taking shortcuts to save a few minutes. But in a strong culture, people take ownership. They say, "I am responsible." They ask, "Hey, could we do this a safer way?" They actually challenge how things are done.
You can boil a positive culture down to these key ingredients. It absolutely has to start with leaders who show their commitment. They don't just talk about it. Then you have everyone taking personal responsibility. Problems get found and fixed fast. And this one is so important. A questioning attitude is not just allowed, it's encouraged, because that's how you avoid getting complacent.
Okay, so this all sounds good, but how does an organization figure out where it currently stands? Well, there's a really helpful framework for that called the Safety Culture Ladder. It's a tool for gauging your own maturity.
So this ladder has 5 rungs. At the very bottom, you have what's called the pathological level, where the attitude is basically, who cares? Then you climb to reactive, where safety is only a big deal after something bad happens. Next up is calculative, where you have systems, but it's all about the paperwork. Then you get to proactive, where you're starting to look ahead for problems. And the very top is generative, where safety is just seamlessly part of how you do business.
Each one of these steps really tells a story about how deep safety awareness goes in a company. It gives you a roadmap, a way to honestly look in the mirror and say, okay, this is where we are, and more importantly, this is what we need to do to get to that next level.
Which brings us to the really practical part. How do you go about improving something that can feel so intangible? Well, it all starts with one thing. You have to measure it. You've heard the old saying, right? You can't manage what you don't measure. And it's 100% true here. Even though culture feels a bit abstract, you absolutely can measure it. And getting the right data gives you a clear picture of its health.
So, how's it done? Well, you can use things like employee surveys to get a feel for attitudes. You can dig into audit results or track incident trends to spot those sneaky systemic issues. And a huge one, giving people a way to report issues anonymously so they actually feel safe speaking up. These are the tools that make the invisible visible.
And here are a couple of specific examples of key performance indicators, KPIs, you can track. And what's great about these is they are leading indicators. They can warn you about a problem before an accident happens. For instance, if managers are rarely seen on the floor, that might tell you leadership doesn't really value what employees have to say. Or if you have a mountain of open safety recommendations that never get closed, that might signal that the organization isn't responsive. These numbers tell a really powerful story.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with a final question for you to think about. After everything we've looked at, the definitions, the pyramid, the ladder, ask yourself this. In your world, is your safety culture built on a foundation of solid rock, or is it built on shifting sand?